Here are the climate stories making headlines in Asia this week. All eyes on Glasgow as COP26 nears. But less than a week before the much-awaited event, the Indian government has yet to submit its latest plans to cut greenhouse emissions. India is the world's third largest carbon emitter next to China and the United States. Coal is also the backbone of India's energy production, making more than 70% of the country's power. This is why the country has resisted setting a target for an overall fossil fuel use reduction. Over in Vietnam, the country is also struggling to commit to reducing its use of coal until 2030. The country's trade minister admits it will not be easy to reduce coal-fired power plants, as coal remains a key source of fuel to meet Vietnam's energy needs for the short term. The minister also adds Vietnam would try to raise its proportion of renewable energy generation for the long term. South Morning China Post reports Vietnam's reliance on coal has fueled huge growth, with the economy ballooning to $271 billion last year, over 43 times its size in 1990. Meanwhile, Japan is calling on the United Nations to revise its recommendation to gradually reduce the country's fossil fuels use. The recommendation is part of the assessment report that has a big influence on the climate change summit. Media reports say Japanese foreign ministry officials urged the removal of a portion of the UN report. It also highlights the need to shut down coal and gas-fired power plants in 9 and 12 years on the average. Saudi Arabia and Australia also called for revisions to the said recommendations. Are you reporting on COP26? Here are some practical advice from former Climate Tracker fellows from our community hangout.
You will drown in information. I mean, I've been going to COP, right? And when I go to COP, I only pick certain particular streams I would follow. And for me, this is loss and damage, gender and women and climate change, and sometimes adaptation. So you're free to, I guess, choose which one, because there's lots of things going on. So, you won't run out of options on what you want to prioritize.
And we're living in Asia, so let's make the most of it. Let's all write stories that are not just based on theories and textbook science, but let's go deep. Let's find out how it's affecting the human lives. Let's all bring out a clear message and tell people that climate change is a killer and why Asian countries need to act more. This is a very good way to build a pressure on Asian governments who are not at par with their Western counterparts when it comes to mitigating climate change.
If you want to communicate the dire impacts of climate change, you have to temper it with solutions. Right, this is where we're headed if we're not doing anything, but with these climate actions, this is where we can go. So remember that, don't use fear. Always inject hope, because that's how people want to act. That's when people want to act. People want to act most when they are hopeful.
And those are the climate highlights we have for you this week. For more stories, visit our website, climatetracker.asia.